Welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show. I am Lupagus. Today we're going to talk about 5 Vikings who could be cut before playing a single snap with the team. Before we get into that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, become a YouTube member if you got $2 at least laying around every single month that you can throw and just support the channel, get some exclusive content. Eventually, Onebar will eat that can of manwich on the air because he lost our bet about Drake May and the Patriots. So let's hop into this. And there's been definitely a lot of precedents for this. Vikings signed some guys in free agency, don't even make the team. Last year, Troy Reeder was one. A few years back, Kendall Wright, the receiver that we signed, he didn't make the team. Every single Nate Hairston, another cornerback that we signed in free agency, doesn't make the team. But it happens all the time. It happens every single damn year. And we got some guys who could potentially never play a single snap with the Vikings, even though they were signed in free agency. Let's start with the special teams demon, Camus Grugier Hill. Again, he's a special teamer. Like, that's his primary thing. He is a backup linebacker, but he's a havoc. He's just a special teams ace. He did have 56 tackles last year between Houston and actually last year he was with Carolina, 56 total tackles, but he's a special teams ace. The Vikings have some guys like this on the roster. Najee Thompson, definitely one of the best gunners out there as a rookie last year. He can, take a big step, but you also look at who they brought in as an undrafted free agent. Got Dallas Gant, a guy who's getting a lot of buzz. So maybe if he, Gant plays his balls off in camp in the preseason, surpasses Grugier Hill on the depth chart, definitely could be let go before playing a snap with the team. I don't think it's the realm of possibility one bit. Let's stay at the linebacker position and go Jihad Ward. And this, they brought him in free agency, 5 sacks last year with the Giants. A guy who is still 29 years old. I mean, he's been with a couple different teams, but he's a fairly high draft pick. I think, what was he? Looks like he was like a 3rd or 4th rounder. And the Vikings bring this guy in for some veteran depth at the edge rusher position, and that makes sense. But now you got Dallas Turner that you drafted in the 1st round. You already signed Grenard. You signed Van Ginkel. How many of these guys are you going to keep? I think the Vikings only kept like 5 edge rushers last year. Someone will be the odd man out. Will it be Andre Carter from last year, the undrafted rookie with the crazy-ass size and athleticism? Or will it be the veteran that, bounced around, had 5 sacks, a couple other guys on this depth? Gabe Murphy's getting a lot of buzz as an undrafted rookie right now, kind of this year's version of Ivan Pace Jr. You got Owen Porter, you got Bo Richter. So there's some guys who, these undrafted guys, do have some, some talent, some excitement to them. They can step up and, and show something in the preseason. The Vikings could just decide to go with a youth movement at edge and let Jihad Ward go before he even plays a snap with the team. So, again, it's possible. It's definitely possible if they choose to go young and Andre Carter doesn't take a step or two in his progression, in his development. Let's go to the D-line. Let's go with Jerry Tillery, a 1st-round bust. The Vikings signed, I think, fairly early in free agency, maybe the 2nd week, which is really the 1st week, because after that first wave of the tampering period, the signings don't get as sexy. But Jerry Tillery, draft pick, high 1st-round pick of the Chargers, went to Oakland. Just hasn't lived up to that status. His best season was in 21 with 4.5 sacks, 51 total tackles. But again, you go to this depth chart. Right now, he's kind of penciled in as a potential starter, but Jalen Roy's drafted in 5th round last year. Team seems to be very high on Levi Drake Rodriguez. Jonah Williams is also there, who they brought in. Undrafted kid Taki Taimani, who could be a nice nose tackle prospect. I think the Vikings, again, only kept about 5 D linemen last year. If that number's the same, someone's going to be cut. Is it going to be Jerry Tillery? Will it be Jalen Roy? Will it be Jonah Williams? Someone's going to be gone. And Tillery, to me, is just the guy who, unless for some reason he just starts to flourish in Flores' system, just from day one in camp, stepping up and making plays, looking great, comes in, in shape or even beyond what they're expecting. It could be Jerry Tillery, who ends up never playing a snap for the Minnesota Vikings because he is cut before he gets a chance. Let's go to wide receiver. And it's Trent Sherfield. The Vikings signed him late in free agency, be the 4th receiver. It's kind of what his role has been his entire career. He's just kind of the 4th, 5th guy. Plug him in, 4 receiver sets. Maybe if you're going 5 out there or someone gets hurt, he gets in there. And he has made some plays. Like, that's his role. And he does it well. I don't think he's ever expecting more than what he gets. I mean, he's got 78 career receptions, 930 yards, 5 total touchdowns in a part-time role. He's only started 10 games in his career. He's played in 95, but he is just that, I don't say ideal, but he's a 4th or 5th receiver. That's what he is. But again, the Vikings have a really, I don't want to say a logjam, but a lot of young guys battling for that spot. And I think it could go. I think the first three are, obviously Justin Jefferson safe, Jordan Addison safe, Brandon Powell almost assuredly safe. It's that fourth, fifth spot. If they keep six, those spots are all up for grabs. Trent Sherfield is in that mix. Jalen Naylor, N'Keal Harry, Lucky Jackson, Tristan Jackson, Thayer Thomas. You got Devron Harper, our boy, Ty James, Sean Jones, Malik Knowles. I mean, there's all kinds of competition for that spot. So Trent Sherfield is what he is. He's experienced. He knows that role. He's done it before. He can play part-time. He can get you a couple catches here or there. But maybe the Vikings want to go with a young guy with some upside who potentially could be more than this. And if that's the case, Trent Sherfield could be the odd man out. The one thing that I keep going back to this, but when KOC, the second day of the draft, was interviewed, he mentioned, we're deep at wide receiver. So that makes me feel like they're actually really high on Trent Sherfield. So maybe he does make it, but to me, I think he could definitely be expendable and be cut before ever playing a snap with the team. And the last one should be pretty obvious for anybody paying attention. It's the kicker, John Parker Romo. Vikings signed him, I think it was like day 2 of free agency. This kicker no one's ever heard of, never kicked an NFL field goal, never attempted one. I think he was with the Bears as a tryout, with the Lions as a tryout, never made a roster. And the Vikings signed him ahead of some other veteran free agents that were out there. And then you get the sense, like, are they just going to go with this guy? They're going to give this guy a shot. He was in the XFL or AFL, or the hell one of those leagues are, and UFL maybe it was. And he had a good season. He's got a strong leg. I think he actually had the record for longest field goal, 58-yarder. But you really want to roll the dice on a guy who's never kicked in the NFL? Well, they do, because they drafted Will Reichard in the 6th round. He was a 6th-round pick on a kicker. Chances are he's going to make your team unless he completely steps on his dick in the preseason. Otherwise, there's no way in hell the Vikings are going to keep John Parker Romo over a 6th-round kicker. Again, when you take a kicker, use a draft pick, he's almost assuredly going to make the roster unless he is just god-awful. So Reichard would have to absolutely suck, miss just about every single kick for him not to make it. John Parker Romo would also, in the turn, that have to nail every field goal. Like, he'd have to be perfect, hitting from wherever to impress and out-kick the rookie. So John Parker Romo, chances are you are going to be gone. So I'm just curious if he even makes it to camp. A lot of times you see these kickers after the first mini camp, OTAs, they decide just to keep one and put all the reps on one guy. So we'll see how far John Parker Romo makes it. Again, not looking good for him to ever play a meaningful snap with the Minnesota Vikings. Let me know in the comments if there's anybody else on this roster you guys think is probably going to be cut before he ever suits up for the Minnesota Vikings officially. And remember, always keep your skull in your hole.